if you're open to it, I'd like to give you some education about the body and especially about the colon. This is a picture of the large intestine. This is the anus down here where we put the proctoscope very gently into the body, and we have the rectal area here, which is full of lots of blood vessels. Now you have 3 turns in the colon. The first turn is your sigmoid. The second one is the splenic flexure under the spleen, and the hepatic flexure under the liver. These are the 3 areas where, as a child, most of the time we had these pains. Oh, Mom, I have a pain in my left side or my right side, and that is usually where the accumulation begins. Now you ask, what starts accumulating? Well, as kids, we eat lots of starches and proteins together. Especially in the American culture, eating a starch and a protein together is how we eat. Bologna sandwiches, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, bean and cheese burrito, steak and potatoes. That's or a pizza. The bread and the cheese. Those are starches and proteins together. And there was a time when we were taught that to get a complete protein, you have to integrate a starch with it. Well, what we found now, and especially as 30 years as a colon therapist, that eating a starch and a protein together, number 1, creates a fast sugar, so you crave more of it, and number 2, it creates a big plug. And this big block, almost like a brick, will accumulate in these areas over time. These little bumps here are called the haustra. Their job is to squeeze together to create your peristaltic action. Now what happens, because of these big blockages of bricks, the starches and the proteins together, these haustra get ballooned out or atonic, and the muscles go to squeeze and they can't. So it begins to balloon out and create a constipative block. This is your transverse colon, which should be above your belly button. Now, because of the weight of all of these starches and proteins together, eventually it begins to prolapse, and it sits right on the pubic bone. Now, that usually happens for most people by the time we get to high school. I mean, how much salads and raw foods did we eat as kids, especially in junior high and high school? Usually nothing at all. We ate a lot of hamburgers and shakes and French fries. And this begins to prolapse. Now, as this sits on the pubic bone, number 1, what happens is the little blood vessels in the rectum begin to explode and expand. This creates hemorrhoids. Now, most people and men have more hemorrhoids on the inside than women do because they get away with it. Most women are on diets by the time they're in junior high and high school, eating more of the salads. Guys get away with it. And plus men lift weights, which puts the pressure here and balloons out those little blood vessels. Now, when women have babies, those blood vessels roll out, which creates the hemorrhoids on the outside. As we cleanse the colon and lift up this prolapse, those little blood vessels will shrink up. So if you have problems with hemorrhoids, there's a good chance as you do your cleanse, your body's going to be able to handle that. Now, some of the symptoms of having a prolapse down on your colon, in high school, the girls have really painful periods. The boys have sciatic nerve problems or lower back problems. That's an indication you've got a lot of weight on that. And I'll show you a picture of that later, what that could look like.